All set? Thank you. All right. Good evening, everyone. I call to order the December 10th meeting of the Millbury Finance Committee at 6:30. This meeting is being recorded and broadcast live by Millbury Public Access on Charter Channel 191 and Verizon Channel 26. It's also accessible via Zoom. For anyone on screen who wants to make a comment later on, please state your name and your address before speaking. So for the first order of business is our new member, Bill Breault. Welcome, Bill.
Thank you.
I don't know if you want to say a few words.
Sure, yeah, my name's Bill, born and raised in Millbury. Went to Elmwood, Shaw, and Millbury High School. So I know the town well and looking forward to contributing where I can.
Welcome.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Real
Bill.
live Tony, huh?
I lived in California for a little while and came
But
back.
we don't count that. That's good.
But yeah, my parents still live here too.
Great.
So,
Good for you.
yeah.
I also want to thank our town moderator for his help in appointing Bill, so welcome. Next order of business is to approve our minutes from the November 12th, 2025 meeting. Is there a motion?
Moved.
And is there a second?
Second?
And Jen is remote, so what we're going to do is a roll call vote. So I'll start with here. Russ?
Yes?
Bill?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
And Jen?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear
Yes.
you. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, and that is unanimous. All right. So the next item for consideration is the Finance Committee's formal recommendation letter regarding the commercial property tax assessment practices. As many probably recall, in September, we had a meeting with the assessor. That was on September 10th. The assessor reviewed the current assessment practices and discussed the obstacles for valuing large commercial properties, and particularly challenges related to commercial property owners withholding the required income and expense documentation. And since that meeting, our committee has identified that commercial valuations depend critically on this detailed financial information. And when this information is not provided, despite repeated requests that the assessor initiates, the town's ability to conduct a fair and equitable valuation is significantly impaired. And this affects not only individual properties, but the fairness of the entire tax base. It's incomplete with the commercial assessment. So tonight, the committee members have received the draft letter. And I want to open it up to discussion if there's anything that we should add or remove. And the town manager is here as well, and I provided her with an initial draft as well, and I'm happy to have your input there as well. So we'll start with the committee. Did anyone have any comments on the draft letter?
I did not.
Okay.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I briefly read through all of it. I didn't get a chance to go back and reread. It sounds like what you're suggesting is that there are many different ways of garnering this information from commercial properties, and if they don't comply, how to move forward, which I don't think has really been the case in the past, from what we've gathered at the last meeting.
Yeah.
And even if they move forward, the non-compliance is minimal. It's for big properties, $250 is it's a sneeze, you know. So versus getting all that information together and submitting it to the town online. So I think that it's time's come that we really hold people's feet to the fire and get that work done. So, I like what you've read, what you've written, and what I've read.
Jen?
I just wanted to say I thought the letter was great. I thought you did an excellent job, so thank you for putting that together. And it's interesting because regardless of whether or not they submit anything on the financials of the businesses that are there, it's kind of irrelevant to what the valuation of the property. I mean, the property becomes more valuable if they put a good business there, right? I mean, if we sat there and they had, they were selling bales of hay in every store, it would be worth nothing. but that's not what they're doing. And like I said to you before, I'm fairly confident that Target does at least 100 million. I would bet that's a 30 to $40 million Raymore. The Kohl's is probably in the same range. We are definitely not charging enough. And I meant to look up what the Northborough Mall valuation is, but I didn't get a chance to. But I think that would be important too, because that's a newer mall that we could absolutely comp ourselves to. But I thought your letter was great, so thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And Karen, I just wanted to turn it over to you if you had any concerns or anything that you wanted to express about the letter.
Hi, good evening. First, I just wanted to congratulate Mr. Breault on his appointment to the committee. I'm looking forward to working with you.
Thank you.
And everyone, as we embark on FY '27. I don't really have too much to say about the letter. I do appreciate you sharing it with me. I've been sort of in back-to-back meetings the last couple of weeks with department heads, preparing the budget. So I didn't have a chance to take a deep dive into it, but I certainly hope to early next week, and would like to have a conversation with the assessor and the Board of Assessors. I just have to find out when they're meeting next and when I can have a conversation about the letter and the recommendations.
Okay, great. And we're more than happy to have a joint meeting with the Board of Assessors if there's an opportunity to do that as well too.
Great, I will certainly offer that. I appreciate it.
Mr. Chairman, I think the timeliness of this, there's a lot of new construction going on up there as well. Beside the Yard House, there's additional retail properties being developed, which will, again, add additional value to the mall itself. And when something that's done to that scale, other values in the mall will increase as well because of new construction, new business going up there. So I think it's timely that if not this year, at least next year, moving forward, that we have the opportunity to do that reevaluation and continue it.
And not even just for the mall, all commercial properties
Yeah.
in town as well, so.
Yes, I agree.
Jen?
Just to piggyback on what Russ just said, I can tell you from experience that those new businesses that are in the process of building are already being assessed taxes by the landlord, CAM and taxes on that property. I'd pretty much bet my life on it. And, because like I said, I'm building a building and I know I'm doing it. And I'm leasing space just like they are. So, they're collecting money and banking it, and we are getting nothing additional. So, and to your point, Russ, Charles, we need to look at every business, Wheelabrator.
Yeah.
I know that they already pay a lot, but we need to take, and their valuation has gone up, on a compound basis more than the mall has. I don't think they're necessarily in line with the regular homeowner, but that one night that we kind of took a look at everything, I ran Wheelabrator and their property assessment had gone up much more than, I think the mall's compound assessment went up like up 1.5%. And I think Wheelabrator was around 5%. But we should look at everybody.
Agreed.
Through the chair. So when a company buys another company, does the value change? And I'm referring to like Fox Bus Company that was just bought by Datco?
It shouldn't change. It shouldn't change unless they're putting additional buildings on there or doing a capital improvement to the property.
Bringing
So
more
if one building
equipment?
buys another, it doesn't necessarily make it more valuable.
Not
It's
bringing
just-
more
it is-
equipment?
It would just be whatever they took. From the point of the town, it probably wouldn't go up much, if at all. Like I said, unless there was infrastructure improvement on there. Like if they built another building or paved a driveway or something like that, which the town would know about because they would need permits, right? And every year, every business has to report their, personal property, for lack of a better term. They have to report that to the town. Like I have to do that for City Hall in Boston.
So,
So their assessment should go up if they've added a new computer system or whatever they, if they're reporting it honestly, then that would raise their tax. But as far as the land goes, like I said, unless they do some kind of capital improvement, it probably wouldn't change. The value to the town wouldn't change just
So,
because
through
But
the
it
someone
chair.
new went in.
It would create a data point, though, if there was a sale of that property that the assessor could use as a number to
Correct.
tax.
Okay. But the excise tax on new equipment, I mean, I don't know. I mean, they're in the woods. I mean, you drive by a driveway, you don't see what they have in there. But, I mean, if Fox had this, I'm throwing this out, this is made up, these are made-up numbers in Judy's head, had 10 buses, and they were bought by somebody who came with 10 buses. Now there were 20 buses. All of those buses would be paying excise tax because they're housed on that property.
Yeah, but I think what we're looking at here is the commercial, like, land value in the
And
buildings and
I-
whatnot. Because when it comes to excise tax, I mean, that's based upon the value of that particular piece of equipment, right? Which they have access to that data.
I think we're mixing up two types of
Okay.
taxes here.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, there's the property tax, which is established by the sale of the property for residents. But the bus company probably was an asset sale, as opposed to, I mean, the property is an asset, but there's a lot more included. So all of the equipment, everything that business owned was part of the asset sale, which is separate from property tax. So unless the property itself gets reevaluated, I don't see that their property tax would change, but other taxes would, like the excise taxes for the bus, personal property taxes that the business owns, that would change.
Doesn't it have to be, land have to be assessed before you purchase or sell?
All I
Maybe not
know is that
business, I don't
when I sold my business through an asset, as
Yeah.
an asset sale, all we did was list every asset we owned,
Yep,
and
and
then
that included the
the
land.
accountant sort of apportioned values to everything.
Okay. Fair enough.
It would be the responsibility of the business to do due diligence on the property value prior to buying it. Because, you know, depending on that, I don't know if Fox owned the land or not. You know, in the case of the mall, every business up there is leasing. The mall owns the property, the businesses lease the property from the mall. I don't know what the deal is with Fox, if they sold the land, if they're leasing the land. But before they went inside, let's say hypothetically Fox owned the land and they kept the land and leased it to the new bus company. The new bus company should have done their due diligence to understand if the land was assessed properly, to understand their tax base before they signed. Like I did that when we just built our space in Boston. I looked at every other property around us to make sure that we weren't getting clobbered on taxes relative to what the landlord was actually being charged for the parcel that they owned. So I would assume most businesses would do that.
Any further comments, discussion? Okay. So if there are no other further edits to the document, I will entertain a motion to adopt the business property tax recommendation letter as a formal recommendation of the Millbury Finance Committee, and for everyone to authorize me as the chair to transmit to the town clerk, the town manager, board of assessors, principal assessor, and the select board.
Moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay, and we'll do a roll call vote. Russ?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Yes.
Bill? Judy?
Yes.
Yes.
Jen?
Yes.
All right. That is unanimous. Thanks, everyone. Next agenda item is the FY 2027 budget overview and expectations. And what I wanted to do is turn this over to Bill real quick, because you had asked for this to be on the agenda.
Yep.
And then we can turn it over to the town manager as well.
Yeah, so part of what I was looking to get out of this was an understanding of the expectations from the town manager's point of view, the expectations, the goals, and the anticipated challenges that she's facing in getting to a balanced budget, so that we're starting out with the same framework, and don't end up working at cross purposes.
And I think that, as good partners and as the Finance Committee, I think it would be helpful, Karen, to kind of know what some of your priorities are for the budget, so that way we can keep those in mind as, once we get the budget and we can understand, what those priorities are, so we can collaborate.
Sure. So obviously, it's pretty early in the process. I kind of indicated a short time ago. So the last 2 weeks, I have been meeting with department heads regarding their initial budget submissions, and hoping to wrap that up by Friday. Obviously, with not having a CFO or a town planner right now, it's been a little busy in the office trying to complete these tasks and meet with everybody in a timely fashion. Nonetheless, we're doing that. I had asked our Eric Kinshirf, who's our finance consultant, to join us this evening. I'm not sure if he's on. I can't tell by how the box is written there, but he may or may not chime in. I think he may have thought it was a 7 o'clock meeting. But nonetheless, my approach has been working with him and Nicole Valentine, our deputy town manager, to really just look at the, what's a nice to have and what's an essential. And fortunately, enough folks that work for us in these positions know what that means, and I feel like most of what I've seen so far has been pretty benign in terms of the asks. I've seen a lot of level funding. My expectations and what I've sort of explained to everybody are the things that are concerned that were last year, that, we have large assessments that seem to keep coming at us, and we're not unique. Other municipalities, all of them, are facing the same thing with high costs of healthcare. That was a 15% increase last year. We somehow were able to cobble together a strategy and got the buy-in from the Insurance Advisory Committee to look at, raising some of the cost deductibles in particular, so that we could reduce, plan change so that we actually reduced it to below 10%. We're looking at ways that we might be able to lower that cost again this year. Preliminarily, Maya is telling us again to prepare for another 15% increase. I have no idea yet what the assessment would be for Worcester County Retirement to manage our funds. That was, I believe, a 10% increase last year that we didn't account for. And the list kind of goes on and on. So the things that we can control, we certainly are trying to. The things that are a little bit beyond our control are just the cost of doing business. I've been reading a lot of information from MMA, who've been doing studies and talking with town managers and town administrators across the state. It's just very difficult to stay within the 2.5%, because everything we know right now in America just is exponential costs. Whether that's salt or building materials or, whatever it is that we're purchasing. So I think, the message to everybody was, try to keep it level funded. If there is a specific request, there's gonna have to be a very, very good explanation for it. I fully anticipate things like capital requests, or personnel requests are going to be critiqued, not only by me, but also the different committees that this would be in front of. So I'm just, again, it's very early, but I've had, really good conversations, I feel, so far with the department heads. They really seem to understand, that we have to really sort of tighten up as much as we can, just like we do every year. There are some positions that I do feel might be important to the core operations. of how we do business between the town and the school. Not fully prepared to discuss that right now in detail, but if there were to be any positions that I would ask for, it would be minimal, and it would be only out of complete necessity based on retirements or other factors that might lead to needing to bring in some other talent to perform such duties, but I'm not really gonna prepare, I'm not prepared to talk about that right at the moment, but more high level, so far so good. I haven't really seen anything too crazy, if you will, and everybody's been very gracious that we've met with. They really seem to understand that we're trying to keep it as low as possible. I don't know if that helps, Bill, or if there's something specific that you want me to speak to.
No, I didn't have anything specific in mind, other than if you knew there was something out on the horizon that we needed to be aware of, so that we could account for it, and not end up in conflict because we have a set of priorities and you have a set of priorities and they're different.
Right. Right, thank you for that. I think that's super helpful to just kind of, even at the higher level, just set the priority. My dog is attacking me, can you just give me one?
I think you're muted, Karen.
I am, I just asked my superintendent to please grab the dog because he's biting my sweater. I super apologize, the joys of owning a puppy. Although he did really well on the Chain of Lights, he was a paid actor, he played Max from The Grinch, and for 4 hours, I think about 200 people took their picture with him, so he's got a little bit of a pass tonight. So anyway, thank you for the opportunity, Bill, just to make sure right out of the gate we're in alignment. The only thing that I would flag right at this particular moment is, you might recall during the special town meeting, we had an article on for $25,000 to do an analysis of our communication system, so to do like a study. Nicole, our deputy town manager, has been coordinating meetings with MEMA, and also with the fire and police department to really look at not only the devices that we're using, but really about the towers. They're pretty antiquated, not really communications gurus, so I'm probably not describing it as well as I should, but there could be a situation in which the study reveals that we need to really overhaul the entire town's communication system, and if that was to occur, and this is, please don't quote me on this is very preliminary, but we could be looking at close to $1 million or $1.5 million. I don't know how long it would take to do that study or what the findings are gonna be, but right now, that would be the biggest ticket item that I'm aware of. Obviously, way more to come on that as things unfold and we get the analysis from the consultant, but right now, that's the only thing I would flag for right now.
Switching budget areas for a moment, is it possible to, and you may need Katie for this, but is it possible to break out the healthcare and benefits for the schools from the town so that we can actually see what the real percentage of school in the budget is?
Just for the healthcare costs?
Yeah, I mean, we know what the school department budget typically
Yeah.
is, but we don't know how much of the healthcare, like, I had sent out a graph and the benefits were in total administration. But we don't know what part of that is school and what part of it is townside. So if we could get that breakout somehow, that would help us understand the full cost of the education budget, if you will.
Yeah, I think we can do that in short, or hopefully we can do that before Katie comes, but if not, yes, I will definitely get that for you.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Sure?
Madam Town Manager, is there any personnel contracts, union contracts due before the budget?
So there's two CBAs on deck right now. One of them is in play, the SEIU union, which is, representing they call them secretaries. Secretaries, maintenance and cafeteria workers, that contract, negotiation just started. I was asked to sit in on those negotiations by the school administration, which I've done now with two other of their contracts. Negotiations, which I'm happy to do and appreciate the opportunity to weigh in. There was just one meeting so far last week, really just to talk about their proposals. There'll be another one where we'll discuss our proposals. And then the Millbury Police Department Union, I can't believe it's already been 3 years, because I was a part of that 3 years ago, literally, I think 2 months after I started. So that one, we don't have a date set yet, but I believe it might be sometime towards the end of January. So I will be leading that negotiation in consultation with the Board of Selectmen.
Okay.
But thank you for asking that question. Yes,
Sure,
those
thank you.
things are in play.
Okay.
Okay.
I got my information. Anybody else?
Bill's good.
Oh, capital bill. Is there any, Mr. Chairman, is there any definitive capital requirements that you see on the horizon that are going to come forth? Anything in capital?
Well, the capital committee is going to be meeting next week.
Okay.
And I think that's the point at which we'll have a complete idea of what's pending. Nothing prioritized,
All right,
but at least
Right.
we'll see the asks.
okay, very good. Thank you.
Any more discussion? No? Okay. So our next item is the continued discussion regarding compensation review for elected and appointed boards, commissions, and committees. The town manager worked in consultation with the finance consultant to start researching best practices compared to other peer municipalities. And so I think what, Karen, and maybe you can talk more about this, but I think in summary, that many municipalities are doing essentially what we're doing. Those commissions and committees and boards submit their salaries just like other department heads do, and that gets put in there and they make a rationale for that. And so in doing so, we still have the ability to review those asks. There have not been any asks in the recent years for anything additional. And then when this conversation had come up, there were two schools of thought. One, that the Board of Selectmen hadn't received an increase in well over a decade, and that most likely, as elected officials, they weren't going to come and ask for an increase. And so that someone needed to be able to advocate on their behalf. And so I thought, made for a good idea to look at everyone and see how that would look if other towns are doing that. But it doesn't seem like that's the case. Would you agree with that, Karen, that other towns are not doing that? There was one study that you had shared, but I think that resulted in just business as usual.
Right, Eric Kinsher, the consultant that has been helping us out, he pointed me to the Collins Center, and they actually just did a study on this. I want to say, Charles, was it maybe like from 2003 or 2? It wasn't that long ago, and essentially, they were sort of asking the exact questions that we've been sort of scratching our head with, and they did produce a report, but it just seems that nobody really is pursuing it, or they're not doing it at all, or it feels like, it didn't give us sort of the magical answer, I think, that we were hoping for, which is some kind of table or something that we could equate Millbury's with some other community about the same size. It just basically said, don't even get involved in trying to figure that out. I don't know, Charles, is that sort of was your takeaway?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not putting it very eloquently, but it was sort of like, leave it alone.
Yeah, and I think that we do have, good checks and balance in place, right? So as I said, that these different committees and groups can submit as part of their budget a request, and that goes into for us for a recommendation, and then it goes before the people in town meeting, and then the town votes on that. So if there was an increase of a particular committee or board, I would hope that someone during the town meeting, if they had concerns about that, they would ask for a hold on that to learn a bit more on that. But I think with anything that comes before us, we usually do ask for the rationale on that, so.
Mr. Chairman? Madam Town Manager, the only question I had, and we discussed it, was elected versus appointed. Did you find any towns giving stipends to appointed departments versus elected, where elected usually gets a stipend?
No, not in the few towns that I spoke with some town managers or administrators, that wasn't, that really wasn't delineated, and I don't believe it was in the Collins report either. Is that something, Charles, could you or Sandy share that report if you haven't already with the committee?
Yep, I can do that. I thought that I shared it with folks, but I might have just got.
I understand. I understand.
Yep, I will send that report out to everyone.
Thank you. I think, Russ, I think that it might be better explained in there what they looked at across the board, because everybody is in the same boat that we are with those two models.
Right. I've, in my past life, whatever, I've attended finance committee meetings at the MMA, and those discussions took place during breaks and whatever. None of the finance committees were ever getting a stipend. They were all volunteers and not being paid. But other than that, I wasn't really aware of any other appointed departments getting stipends, so. Right.
Okay. Anyone have any concerns, discussion? Jen? Okay. Right. And then the last thing I have is if there's any additional business that was not reasonably anticipated. Anything anyone wanted to bring up? I'm hearing nothing.
Can you just, I know we got dates, can you just quickly review when we kick off the budget season? Are we going to have a Saturday meeting again?
Still need to work on that schedule.
I have something on my calendar. We didn't already go through that?
We have, we did have, Sandy had sent out some meetings for,
Yeah, because I just saw it the other day. There's a sad day in January, I think.
Yes, Sandy sent out, I believe, Outlook calendar invites to everybody, and they're pretty well scheduled out for the next 2 or 3 months.
Okay.
What would be helpful to me as we kind of start getting more into this is the sooner the committee identifies, and obviously I'll help and figure this out with you, but the sooner you figure out who you would like, or how you would like the departments to be presented. I don't know that I would need everyone to come to those meetings, but I, one, would want to give them the option, and two, some of the larger departments, it's so nuanced, I really think it would be helpful to have them, so I just want to give them, those department heads the most notice that I can, to put that in their schedule.
Charles?
That would be helpful, but I'm sure we'll figure that out.
yeah, I see Sandy's invites here, so it's starting, they're every Wednesday, and there's also a joint meeting that we have too, Karen, that was in January, that
Right.
Bill and I will
And
attend.
then there's a Saturday, I believe there's a Saturday in there.
Yeah, there's Saturday the 10th.
10th.
Okay.
Okay. My Outlook's only showing Monday through Friday, so.
Bill, did you get
I
all
did,
those
yep.
calendars?
I see that, yep. She sent me all, thank you.
Speaking of that, Karen, is there a way for Bill to be able to get a town email account? Should I just email you about that, or email?
Oh, yes, thank you for the reminder. I will be happy to contact Broadband, and I will get Bill that town email. Probably might take a couple days. So if I can have his personal email, I can let him know what his new email is set up.
Yep, I can do that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, one last news item, if you will. The outside consultant that's been helping build the capital planning application, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Karen, but the training on that has started, and people are inputting information already. So by the time that we start really looking at budgets, we ought to have a better view, both through the capital committee and through this one.
Excellent.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. So CSS, Capital Strategic Solutions, they were a smaller consulting group that's kind of really exploded in helping dozens and dozens of towns. It's all former municipal government folks at all different positions that this group has, and they, through a community compact grant, helped build out a software platform for us. Last year, we resuscitated the capital improvement plan committee, which I believe just sort of went by the wayside because of COVID. So that was resuscitated, and essentially, the committee used an Excel platform to collect information. This is going to be really a living and breathing platform for department heads and their admins to be able to go in and update things as needed. It has all kinds of features, graphs and charts to show where we're putting money or help us really figure out what is a priority need, or, when the committee sort of figures out what to put forward to the town manager to think about in the next budget. It's gonna have a lot of detail and really tell a much better story about the need of that particular request. So we did have, and Bill, thank you for joining us, last week, the owner of the company did a Zoom with all the department heads. Bill joined us, just sort of shared the screen, looked at what it looks like, and now the consultant is going to be meeting individually with all of the department heads and their admins one-on-one, just to make sure people are comfortable on how to use it. So to Bill's point, I think by the time, we get to really getting into the budget, I think this tool is really gonna be helpful. And it's also something that will be public facing, so we're gonna put it on the website so that people will be able to see. I don't know how much access, or, obviously we don't want people to be able to manipulate the data in there, but I think it'll be very helpful for people to be able to see what's happening and what, kind of what's in the queue. So yeah, Bill, thank you for bringing that up. And speaking of consultants, if I could, Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to introduce Eric Kinshirf, who has been basically helping us almost on a daily basis with the finance department and operations. Eric, thanks for joining us. We're kind of at the tail end of the meeting, but I just wanted to at least let you know he does exist. He is not the Easter Bunny, even though he is down at the Cape. I spend a lot of time on Zoom with him, and he has actually been zooming in to all of the department meetings we've been having on the FY27 budget. I really appreciate all your support, Eric. You've been a godsend to us and the staff. Is there anything that you folks in particular want to ask Eric while he's on, or conversely, Eric, is there anything you want to share? We just talked a little bit about kind of our approach to this budget, really looking at trying to keep things down at 2.5%. That and sort of how we've been tackling meeting with all of the department heads.
No, I just want to say, Karen, thanks to you and your team, you're pretty like well organized, and the Zoom meetings have basically just let me get familiar with the departments and how their operational budgets operate. So it's kind of a couple of step process. They send us the budget, we go over it, then we think of some adjustments, then we're gonna send it back to them, make the adjustments from there. And then when we get all the budgets done, we'll have one template with all the budgets. I'll send it to Karen, make sure all the department heads agree with it, and then it can be presented to the finance committee. So the idea is, hopefully, we'll be able to vet it out, and the department heads will vet it out, so any questions that you have, we'll be prepared, the department heads will be prepared to answer. So I just appreciate the opportunity to work with everybody here. I know you have another new finance director coming in January, so I'm just trying to help out with a smooth transition. So thank you.
All right. Nice to meet you, Eric, and thank you for all your work. I think one of the questions that I had, Karen, I believe you had mentioned that Eric had been working on, kind of just looking over things in the finance department and whatnot. Will there be a point in which we will receive maybe some kind of report based upon his findings?
Eric, do you want to answer that?
Yes, when I am done, I can give a report with some findings, but one common theme that I'm finding is just the communication of the financial data that you have out to the department heads and the users, because a lot of times people are a little bit surprised. So I know that's going to be one thing that's going to be a communications piece where the more eyes that are on your financial statements and your accounting, the more transparent, and I always say light acts as a disinfectant. So basically try to say open up the books so everybody knows where you stand, and basically we do the accounting and then give you enough information so you guys can make the decisions. So, but yes, there are a couple of things, and yes, before I leave, I'll transition out with some notes and maybe some recommendations that I have as we're going through the process.
Another thing I want to ask is that you obviously have a lot of experience in working in municipalities, and I think that when we look at our new finance director that's coming in, it's been great that Katie's coming back to Millbury, and she's been in other locations, but you've worked with a number of municipalities, and at any point in your report, will you look at like a comparison or a benchmark of where Millbury is financially compared to some other towns to kind of give us?
Sure, I can definitely incorporate that in. Yeah, because I kind of know viscerally, just from my own thing, but I'll put the actual real data behind it, and then, can compare where you're at. But I do want to say that as far as Millbury, as far as your financial reporting and the quality of the books, the way they look, and you guys have submitted free cash scheduling, I'd say you're probably in the top 20% as far as being compliant with the DLS reports and so forth. So you're really high up there, and as far as the quality of the accounting data, I think there's real quality there. I think the missing piece is people don't know it, is the communication of that data. That's where I'm finding the difference. But yes, I will have some recommendations for best practices. When Karen, Nicole, and I meet during the process, I always bring up a town and we do this, so I say, well, another town, they do it like this and this, so I'll try to crystallize that into a nice little report, concise for you guys to look at, so.
That's great. Thank you very much.
One of the things that I'd be interested in getting out of this when it's all done is an understanding of the various non-budget accounts that are out there and what their purpose is and how much money's in them.
Good point. We've been bringing it up left and right. Every department head to say, well, I'll give you an example. Go over the library budget, and we'll say, all right, here's your budget. I have this expense and this expense. But there's a special revenue fund that you see that you have X amount of dollars, and you can utilize that fund. And then the same thing with the council on aging. So we come across different budgets that we know that there's pots of money there, so we're trying to communicate that to the department heads so they can make decisions on how to spend. So yes, that would be, I can do that. I can give you a list of all the different funds and what their purposes are, just so you know the big picture, not just what is appropriated at town meeting.
Thank you.
Any other, I see Jen's hand is up.
Just a quick question. Did you look at the schools too, or are you only looking at the municipal side?
I'm just looking at the municipal side for now, but in the course of business, I don't know how much time I'll have to look at the schools in detail, but I do know that, right now, the schools operate a different accounting system than what the town has, and they're not really linked.
No, they are not.
Yeah, right, so, right there alone, because I get journal entries all the time, so here's the books that we need or not, and so those two records have to be in sync. So I think, just, there is room for improvement, like, not all charter, sometimes towns and schools share the same charter accounts, but in this case, you don't, we try to mirror what the schools' accounts look like, but to that extent, I am looking at schools, but I'm not digging into the school accounting and so forth, just as how it relates to what we're doing on the town side. But if something comes to my attention that I think, I will definitely, put that in the report, so.
And what was our certified free cash? Do you know off the top of your head?
I don't know right off the top of my head,
I think it's about 3.3 million.
And we passed the audit, I assume.
Yes.
Okay. That's good.
yeah, like I
That's a
said,
positive thing.
yeah, no, I think as far as hitting benchmarks and where you are with the reporting and so forth, like I said, I think you're in like the top 20%, but I just think it's just the communication piece, if I had to find a weakness,
No, that makes sense.
yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No. Great. All right. So if there's no further business, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Moved.
Second?
Okay, and we'll do a roll call vote. Jen?
Yes.
Russ?
Yes?
Bill?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Judy? Nicole?
Yes.
And I'm a yes as well, and that's unanimous. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you.
Happy holidays,
Happy New
everybody.
Year, happy holidays.
You too. Bye-bye.